Thank you, Julie, and thank you, Greg, and thank you to all the comrades who have put on this wonderful birthday celebration for Karl Marx. Let's give him a round of applause. In the past 2 years, we've seen think piece after think piece worrying over the fact that a majority, I heard the 41% earlier, but it's a majority of younger people in the United States would prefer to live in a socialist society. Laden with debt, depressed, anxious, facing down killer cops, low wages, bad health care, and precarious employment, young people seem to have given up on capitalism. The Trump presidency is the death spasm of an era. When I was in Venezuela earlier this year, the officials there could not stress enough to me how the next most important step now is education, in the education sector, among the workers, and also education of ourselves. It is up to us to build the next era, which must be socialist, or we will perish, because the only thing that the youth are standing to inherit from our parents today is a dying planet. Things can feel quite hopeless for young people. Cop after cop gets away with murdering black and brown youth. War after war is launched against our class in every corner of the globe. Our friends, such as the J20 defendants, face serious charges for just pushing back. Social media, a ubiquitous mechanism with close ties to the Pentagon, let's not forget, gets paid more money the more time that we all spend dealing with it. And it thrives, its algorithms thrive off of negative energy, fighting, and drama. Sometimes we hide there, or in our phones, or in drugs, or in video games, because it seems safer than confronting the real world. And on top of all of that, some of us face monthly loan payments that approach our cost of rent. We face precarious work in the gig market, unpaid work in the intern market, and dangerous work in the extra-legal market. We are unable to plan for the future. So then how are we expected to reproduce ourselves and raise healthy families in this environment? We have to learn and experience the power of the strike, as workers across the country and even in this city are learning. We have to look at the rising level of class consciousness among the youth with optimism. And we must all, despite everything that gets us down in the mouth about life, we must all learn to become revolutionary optimists. This is the only responsible option that we have left to take. I am 33 years old, and the Cubans and the African Union would still qualify me as youth. But not all people do here. Plenty would say that I'm an adult, and there are parts of me for sure that feel like an adult. But what does adulthood mean anyway? That I have a home, a family, a stable job, that I am able to even bear and raise children? The inability to build a life for myself that is stable and safe makes me feel like I never got out of my early 20s sometimes. Just one simple misstep can result in homelessness and cutting back on my meals. If adulthood is about building a life for oneself, then many of us are lost to options. I was shocked to learn that adjunct professors at CUNY once raised families on an adjunct's wage. Was I overspending, I wondered? It seemed like it was my fault. Except that then I learned that adjuncts at CUNY today make only 40% of what adjuncts made there in 1975. Graduates in 1975 also had to deal with far less than my $60,000 in student loan debt, which is more than double my yearly earnings. More than 30% of part-time faculty in this country live near or below the federal poverty line of $12,000 a year. More than 30%. Revolutions are about breakdowns. They happen when society is no longer able to reproduce itself. Capitalism has nothing more to pay many of us off with. Down that road lies waste, depression, incarceration, poverty, sickness, and death. But I believe that we will grab the wheel. I believe that my generation and the generations after me will find our true adulthood in helping to tear down these institutions of oppression and greed and build new ones based on justice, love, peace, and learning. We are caught in the ebbs and flows of history, tracing our socialist heritage back 50 years with May 68, 100 years with the Russian Rev last year, and 200 years now to the birth of Karl Marx. We are supposed to chart our progress using these events like stars to guide our path forward. What I see building around me today is critical mass. Every pitfall even has a silver lining in this environment. For the first time in history, young people all over the world are able to read the Communist Manifesto for free online. Even in the deep, depressing nooks of Facebook and Twitter, millions of young people are discovering and discussing Karl Marx. This is a development that will certainly shape the course of history. They may not be politically mature, may not have a full understanding of how Marxism works, but they are in the process of learning, make no doubt. Just like the striking teachers are learning that if we all don't show up to work, the work doesn't get done. Make no mistake, comrades and friends, we are making progress, and the bourgeoisie knows it. The old slogan, socialism or death, rings especially true in our ears today. My favorite lines from the Communist Manifesto are these. I hope you allow me the indulgence. The modern laborer, instead of rising with the process of industry, sinks deeper and deeper below the conditions of existence of his own class. She becomes a pauper, and pauperism develops more rapidly than population and wealth. And here it becomes evident that the bourgeoisie is unfit any longer to be the ruling class in society, and to impose its conditions of existence upon society as an overriding law. It is unfit to rule because it is incompetent to assure an existence to its slave within his slavery, because it cannot help letting her sink into such a state that it has to feed her instead of being fed by her. Society can no longer live under this bourgeoisie. In other words, its existence is no longer compatible with society. The development of modern industry, therefore, cuts from under its feet the very foundation on which the bourgeoisie produces and appropriates products. What the bourgeoisie therefore produces, above all, are its own gravediggers. Its fall and the victory of the proletariat are equally inevitable. Comrades and friends, I propose that the youth today are a grave-digging class. Unable to find meaningful and stable jobs, unable to raise healthy families, unable to imagine a future where the status quo still remains, we are the ones that look at Donald Trump, ICE raids, and killer cops and say, no thanks. If this is where the system gets us, then shut it down. Thank you.